Remembering TDOR with the State of the Transgender Community Town Hall on November 14th. November is a month of remembrance, advocacy, and celebration for South Florida's trans community. This month will bring together activists, allies, and community leaders for a remarkable and powerful event supporting trans people on the occasion of the upcoming Trans Day of Remembrance, or TDOR. TransInclusive Group, based in Wilton Manors, is rallying support for transgender equality through a series of events. One of them is on November 14th. On this day, the community is invited to a reflective evening of discussion on transgender rights and resilience at the Our Fund Foundation Auditorium in Fort Lauderdale. The discussion will be moderated by Nik Harris, VP of Strategic Outreach and Engagement for the Human Rights Campaign, and will feature key figures in the fight for transgender rights, including Nastasia Buchanan of TransInclusive Group, mental health clinician Nik Harris, and a transgender activist and educator Regina Gerbier. The panel will address 2024's challenges and discuss advancing transgender equity and resilience. Transgender Day of Remembrance, TDOR, in 2024 gains added significance amid heightened anti-LGBTQ legislation, which has disproportionately affected transgender communities on various fronts, like healthcare, education, and public safety. You must become a part of the event to support the T of the LGBTQ community. Hotspots Happening Out has made a major commitment to the TransInclusive Group to support TDOR as one of our 11 pillars of our mission. You can find more information about this event and the entire TDOR program on transinclusivegroup.org. Listen, TransInclusive Group does wonders for the trans community. They just do wonders for the whole entire Wilton Manors community. So I would just say, anyone watching, get involved in this. Go to transinclusivegroup.org. As someone not trans whatsoever, there is so much that I can learn, and I want to be able to give as much love to my trans community as they give to me. So do your homework, learn more, and love more. Seriously.
And I think the trans community is more than just acceptance. There's so many other things that happen. It's about work inequality and not being able to get a job because if you're not rich enough to pull it off completely, you don't always get a job right away.
Exactly.
If you are from an but from a health standpoint, same issues. They can't live in Wilton Manors because they can't afford it. So they go out west past Pembroke Pines
where they don't have
any services, and they're basically become reclusive. And I remember being at it was a SunServe event that was sponsored, I think, by Pfizer at the time. And it was a conversation where they had a bunch of trans women in the room, and we actually did it at our restaurant, and I got to sit in on it, and it was fascinating because there were things I'd never thought of. And I looked at it and going, this is an eye-opener, because we just assume they live in our neighborhood and they can get the services they want from SunServe and these other organizations, but they can't.
It's not that easy.
They can't afford transportation to get into town. They don't want to be seen in public because they don't have the ability to get the hair growth or the wigs or the correct hormones.
Yeah, so, and it is a challenge, and we continue to see, mental health issues in the trans community and sex work and things that make it more difficult for people to survive. And, the whole job issue is a very serious issue. And we need to take responsibility and educate ourselves and do what we can do to make their paths easier, because what they're experiencing is by far, I think, the hardest.
And we talked about the groundwork, and Black trans women were the first ones to throw the stones. So,
yes,
we
absolutely.
Really need to
and that whole story is whitewashed.
Right.
And it's,
And it's kind of a mixed bag right now because our older trans community came out much later as trans because they had to be normalized, if you will, to fit into society. So they played two roles. Maybe on the weekends they got dressed or whatever, but
they can't pass as easy.
Right. So we assumed drag queens for a while. At least for me, drag queens and trans were the same thing because we didn't see people that I know now that are trans, but they were always identified as a drag queen. Because I always saw them in drag at shows, and they didn't say I'm trans. They would say, they would be performing for all of us, and it's kind of looking back on it, it was kind of cruel because we treated it as more of a joke because everyone was dressed up
You just assumed it was all the same.
It was all right, that they're, and they weren't. And now you've got a younger generation, to their credit and to thanks to education and better awareness and stuff, we see so many more younger people able to be identified while they're young. And if they have the right family stuff, that go through the process early, get integrated while they're still in elementary school, and then can live a healthier, normal life. But we're under attack right now, and we know better than probably most other states, because we have such a strong LGBTQ population here, that we have a bigger community, where if you're elsewhere in the country and you're trans, you have no support.
And there are also a lot of trans people who don't want to be involved in the LGBTQ community. They want to, be trans and live their quiet little heterosexual life in the suburbs.
Yes, of course.
And they also need our support.
Absolutely.
Have you seen the show Heartstopper?
No.
Okay, you need to see it because right now one of the characters, and I think it's season 3 or something, I did not know that she was a trans, she is trans woman, and she's dating one of the other characters on the show, and he has known all along, but I don't know if I just missed it on an episode, but we're in season 3 and now she's being questioned about it in public because she's also an artist, and it just brings it right to the forefront. It's an English-British show.
I've seen
I'll have to check it out.
It's really wonderful. But it's pertinent to this conversation.
Yes.
And opening minds.